Hey everyone, your designers are here.
I'm Anita from Cedar Hill Farmhouse.
And I'm Yvonne at Stone Gable.
And I'm Kelly at My Soulful Home.
We have tips and tricks and decorating advice for you today. So let's get started.
This is episode 91. Is your home prepared? And it's a special edition of decorating tips and tricks focused on being prepared for disasters like hurricanes. And especially we're thinking our thoughts are with everyone affected by Hurricane Harvey. And to be really frank, we had another episode planned for today. We had already recorded one on kind of our dream homes, maybe a fantasy homes, what people might want and what we might want if we could, dream big. But, it just felt so wrong to be posting that today with the hurricane.
And so many people are
on.
hurting. That's right.
So many people are hurting. So many people have lost their homes. I'm in Houston in the middle of this, although our home has not flooded. So many people I know have. And so we really wanted to just kind of wrap our podcast arms around Houston and all these areas affected by this hurricane and let you know we love you and we just want to be sensitive to everybody everyone that's hurting. And I know the city is traumatized. So anyway, we want to talk about the hurricane a little bit. We want to talk, and as a helpful thing to everyone, we want to talk about how do you prepare for a disaster. And maybe you don't have a hurricane coming your way, but you might have another disaster.
Yes. So what we're going to talk about today is your home prepared, and give you tips and ideas of how you can sort of build a emergency preparedness kit or kits, like we talked about our toolbox and how we gave you tips in that episode.
Yes, well, I want to mention that I am in the middle of Hurricane Harvey right now as we're recording. It's still raining, although it's a little less rain today. But the rain has been pouring. I think we've had, I don't know how many inches they're saying. We'll probably have 30 by the time it's over. So that's about a year's worth of rain in a couple of days.
And I want to say how happy I am to hear your voice, because texting and when your phone didn't pick up, I was so worried about you.
Well, I know. And it's been scary. And that's why I think it's so important that people have access to their phones through these disasters, because I have been on Facebook nonstop checking to see how my friends are, because I have friends saying the water is 2 feet from my house. The water is inches from my house. The water is imminent. And then water's coming in. And then, so it's really important for keeping up with people. And I know some people that they were really upset because they couldn't reach people. And I think in some cases their phone just died, but the loved ones don't know that. So,
right. So our number one tip, at all times, is to have these portable chargers that you can keep charged up all the time. I mean, sometimes I think we might have even gotten one in our Haven bag. You get these things.
I have that.
It's like a flash drive. Companies put their name on it, and they put their names on these portable charger. I think it was Moen gave us that. And actually
Yes.
I gave one to my girls because they can't possibly be without their phones,
No.
Hurricane or earthquake aside, they need to be charged up at all times. So those are great things to get in your kit. And
Emergency kit. Mm-hmm.
I think Yvonne mentioned that she's got one in her glove compartment and someplace else at all times.
And one in my home. I do.
Yeah, and
I
lot
was
of
given
times-
one as a gift, and because my kids know I always have to sort of check on my blog or social media, so they gave it to me, and I thought, what a great idea. But can I say that I think also the number one thing to do is have a family communication plan. Because our loved ones, we worry, I was calling like Anita, like every half day, like every 12 hours. How's it doing, Anita? Are you dry? Right. And Bobby and I were traveling, says, call Anita, see how she's doing, just to make sure that our loved ones are safe. So have a family communication plan, how you're going to get a hold of each other. If you're going to do it like a whisper down the lane, like a phone tree, or, have some way that everybody hears from everybody else that you're okay.
Well, a lot of people are using Facebook for that. And some people said, I just can't text everybody. So they're posting on Facebook. And social media has been so important. Back when Hurricane Alicia came, that was before cell phones. And it was all about having a radio. So you could hear the weather reports, you could hear the emergency alerts. And now it's so important to have that phone charged, have a phone and have it charged, because that is also how people are getting help. And they're telling people, do not go up in the attics. If your house is flooded, climb on the roof. And so I can't tell you how many stories I've heard of people on the roof. And guess what? They're actually literally calling the Coast Guard and saying, this is where I am. I need to be picked up. And that has been so critical, because how will the Coast Guard know where you are? But so it's amazing. You can, the numbers, we were sent all these numbers, call the Coast Guard if you have an emergency. And our friends, Florence and Tom, live very near a bayou. And I just got word that they had 18 inches of water in their home, which is scary enough. The roads are not drivable there, but it's even worse than you think, because Tom is on dialysis. And so he has got to get dialysis today. It's absolutely critical for his, survival for his, it's very, it's life threatening for him. So we got, a friend of mine got on social media, put the word out on Facebook. Hey, he needs a pickup by boat and he needs a ride to the dialysis center. And somebody got a boat over there to him. And it's all arranged. And they had it all set up with the dialysis. It was open. But I'm telling you, without that, it might have been a different outcome.
No, it's so true. And people say so many negative things about social media, and it does bring certain things into your life that maybe you don't want yourself or your kids to see. But look at this, how it's really such an avenue where people can get the help that they need. And if you're using it in that right way, that's fantastic. I can't even imagine that man seeing the boat coming up to his house while he's sitting on the roof.
Yes. And here's something that you said that's really important. Know your emergency numbers. Know beforehand how to contact.
Well, put them on your phone, and they changed. So there were special numbers just for the Coast Guard for this particular situation. So it's very critical that you're on social media. That's where I even found these numbers, or listening to the TV. We've actually had the TV on. We normally do not watch TV, but I've had it on nonstop.
But do that ahead of time. If you know you're going to have
these numbers,
something, if there's an emergency, but if they call like an emergency, you can usually get it as soon as they call, or if they call for an evacuation. As soon as you know that, make sure you have the numbers. And here's something else. You were talking about the dialysis, and we just hope that Tom's okay and doing fine. Make sure you have a supply of your meds.
Yes. Yes.
So many people,
but some of these numbers were not available.
Medications.
Some of these numbers were not available until the last minute.
Right.
So, you certainly want to put whatever numbers you have in your phone ahead of any kind of disaster, but you've got to be on social media to be getting any kind of new information, or at least listening to the news. But you may not, you may not have power for your TV.
Another great point that Anita made is, I don't want to do fanfare because today we're not doing fanfare necessarily, but I think that she might have had tip of the day right there with these two great items that she's mentioning. Have your location on. You can do that in your settings in your phone.
Well, it runs your battery down though.
It does, but if somebody needs to find you on a roof and they can't see the street signs anymore, that might be something that's helpful to do, to have that on.
And they did talk about some settings on your phone, and we can see if we can find those for you on ways what you can do to reduce the things you can do to extend the battery life.
Well, yeah, actually, I was just telling my mom this morning because she said, "Oh, I have to go because my battery's only, and we're going to get in the car." Does everyone know about low power mode?
Yes, I do. It's wonderful.
I don't think I've used that.
You have on your phone.
I'm not sure about on Android, but on an iPhone, you can just tell Siri, just put it on low power mode. It's also a setting.
Nice.
And you're going to have maybe a hard time doing some elaborate searching on the internet or something like that, but you will still receive texts, and you still receive emails. It just uses like a significantly less percentage of power.
Oh, it probably shuts down some of those background apps.
Right, the back apps and all that kind of stuff. So maybe, if you were in such a situation, you've got your phone, you've got your portable chargers, then try to remember to go onto low power mode if you can.
The other thing I want to tell you about is now, like I said, you really need to be on social media so that you know what's going on. And a really important app that I would highly recommend, especially in this disaster situation, is Nextdoor. And this particular app, it's just Nextdoor, is just for your area. So that's how that's how you're going to find out which streets are passable, which ones aren't. I've already been on there because we have a roof leak, and I said,
what is that? Someone just said to me the other day, I was talking to blah blah on Nextdoor, and I thought it was just a weird way that she phrased it. I thought it was the person that lived next door. I didn't know what it was.
Well, it's like Facebook, only it is specific to your neighborhood. So you have to prove that you live in that particular area to be on there. But that's how I'm finding out. Listen, the grocery stores are shut down. The trucks can't get in. The freeways are underwater. And the grocery stores have been on social media saying, no, our stores are closed until further notice. A lot of them have been saying that.
Yeah.
So people are going on Nextdoor and saying what stores are open, what restaurants are open. And that's how we found out that there's a restaurant nearby that's collecting even donations for George R. Brown, where, it's a shelter for a lot of the people that are homeless right now.
I'm wondering if on that app you can find like people that are elderly that might need help. Even if it's not in a hurricane situation, but it's something else like, we get a lot of snowstorms and things like that.
Well, and there's another thing you can do, I know with the power company here, is if you have critical equipment, medical equipment, like maybe you're on oxygen or something, some sort of equipment that you need to notify the power company way ahead of any disaster and you tell them that, and they will put you will have priority, and they will bring your power up before the other people.
Oh, interesting.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Another great tip to know. So, and I mean, this is sort of ironic, but I noticed that September is National Preparedness Month.
Oh,
did you see?
Well, there you go.
When I was looking around to see, because I know what should be in an emergency kit, but I wanted to, when we decided this is the route we were taking today, I wanted to go and see if there were some other things that we could sharing. And I know Anita, being right on the ground in the middle of something, she's going to be able to tell us some things that maybe no one thought of until, the floodwaters started coming. So we're going to have lots of great tips for you today to let you know. So Anita, do you want to kick it off? Maybe we could just share different ideas of things that you would put in this kit or how you would set up the kit.
Well, and the first thing is what I'm seeing with all of these boat rescues, everybody's got a backpack on. So that seems to be something because, if you're picked up in a boat, we can't bring our favorite sofa and our favorite lamp and, all that stuff. I mean, it's really just the stuff.
And it really pares down your priorities.
Well, that's what I was going to tell you. This is
no French chairs in the boats.
I know.
You just can't.
I know. No, I know. Listen, we love our stuff, but listen, people are so much more important.
It's just stuff.
That's right.
It's just stuff.
I always say people are more important than things.
Oh my goodness, so much more. And I was thinking, what would I grab? I mean, my family, a few clothes, some toiletries, my computer. I mean, that's probably, I don't know that I would grab much else. And you can't. So, I think definitely a backpack. For where I live, I would make it a waterproof one, or at least one that you could cover because there's just so much rain coming down. But yeah, I think a backpack is great because you could get maybe your laptop in there. And I think taking your laptop, if you could, would be fantastic because also you're going to probably have your insurance papers in there, any kind of birth certificates, any kind of special papers. If you're concerned of flooding, destruction from something else, maybe a fire,
but put
make sure
them
you have
in
those
something
in there.
waterproof in itself as well.
Yes.
That's
Put
what
that
I
in
read.
a waterproof packet and
Right.
that.
So make copies of your important documents.
Yes.
And have those in some sort of also a waterproof pouch or something like that. And I'm reading that there are probably 2 kits to have. I never really thought about it. I had something, in the basement, or I know in the schools, they always do that and they have them in a special closet in the schools, but portable pack and an at-home pack might be a good idea because if you're stuck and you can't get out, you need it. But if somebody's like, needs to pick you up in a boat because you need to go somewhere, then the backpack is a fantastic idea. So I would suggest if you're going to go down the road and create these kits, which I think everybody should do, including myself, then you might as well make 2.
And also, just let me add this. I have 2 new babies in my life, and I looked on some emergency preparedness sites, and they talked about having a baby backpack and what to put in it.
Well, and some people were able, that's a great idea. And some people were able to escape that needed to evacuate by car. So yeah, I mean, if you can get in your car, then obviously you can get more things in there. You could, put the diapers in there if you need diapers or any other kind of overnight supplies, your toiletries.
We'll put those online. I think they're so important to put those sites online that have these lists of kits. It also depends on your type of an emergency because flooding isn't an issue where I live, but believe it or not, like a tornado, earthquake, and definitely being stuck in a blizzard. Those are 3 things that are very important, and they vary what you need to put in a kit.
But a lot of it is very similar, though. I mean, you kind of have to be assuming maybe you're not going to be at home. You have to assume maybe you're not going to have power. So obviously flashlights, maybe if it is a rain event, maybe just a little poncho. Yeah.
Right. So they're saying 3 days of water per person, which is about a gallon each a day, is a good thing to have. So you could just have the bottled water and maybe individual. So everyone could have their own if you have room for that. And then non-perishable food, a manual can opener,
Right.
which I wouldn't have thought of. I might have thrown in the tuna can, but then, I'd have to chew it open. And
yeah, you want that can.
And how about like some, protein bars and pressed fruit bars and things like that? Don't you just love a great recommendation from a friend? Well, we're delighted to be recommending these companies and their wonderful products to you today. And let them know your friends at DTT sent you. Inevitably, with the new year come wellness goals. One very effective and easy to reach goal is to add dose to your wellness regime. Dose is expertly formulated organic wellness shots that support your liver in one delicious drink. Formulated with ingredients clinically shown to support liver health, potent turmeric, milk thistle, and ginger. There's 0 sugar and 0 calories. Did you know that your liver performs over 500 special functions? Since I learned all that my liver is doing, I started with Dose to support all those vital functions. I take a shot of refreshing Dose 2 times per week to combat everyday toxins from food, meds, alcohol, and unhealthy air. Since starting with Dose about a month ago, I am definitely feeling an overall improvement in my health. So if you want to give Dose a shot and invest in your health like I have, Dose is offering DTT listeners 15% off your first order, plus an additional 15% off if you subscribe for a monthly delivery. That's 30% off your first order. So go to dosedaily.co/DTT and use the code DTT. That's dosedaily.co.co/DTT and use the code DTT. Go ahead, clean out your closet, then head straight to Quinn's. I love every item Quince offers, from wardrobe to decor, and I can really recommend their Ultra Stretch Super Wide Leg Pant at $49.90. The price is unbeatable, and the look is so flattering. It keeps you in on top and flares out of the bottom. Everything feels right with Quince. The price, the quality, and the sustainability. Quince offers a range of luxury wardrobe and home goods at prices within reach. And like Quince's clothing, their home goods are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. Once you've cleaned out your closet and refreshed with Quince, you can also add something to your home decor. So give your wardrobe and your home the refresh it needs with Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. And let me know how you love those pants.
That is the perfect thing to put in your backpack, because do you want a can of beans or do you want a
A
kind
bunch
bar?
of kind bars.
Well, but I mean, not
'Cause
just
it's for
would that
heavy,
taste
for weight.
better, but I mean, but it's lighter weight and
Yeah.
it's already in a waterproof packaging. And like I said, I mean, you could shove 20 of those in your backpack. You can't shove, 20 cans in there, or you'll
That's
be
exactly
falling,
right.
you'll be drowning with
Yes,
that thing
yes.
on you. So
a few other things that they suggest is, all the kind of canned things, tuna, meats. If someone, like, I don't know, maybe that's when they sell out of those Viennese sausages when people are making these kits. I don't know, something like that. But fruits, maybe canned peaches, something like that.
Or just even dried fruits.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah.
dried fruits. I would check on them. Hopefully you don't have an emergency, but check on them. As you, as the
Sure.
months pass by. Dry
I think
cereal.
that's something you should check on everything.
Yeah.
Just to make sure your batteries aren't run
You're
out
right.
yeah.
Well, and another thing that I really like is we have a radio flashlight, but you can put batteries in it. But I think it's NOAA. It's a special one
Yes.
for emergencies. So it has the crank on there, because guess what? Maybe
Oh.
your batteries just, they stopped working for some reason, or you
Oh,
don't
and you
have
can
any.
crank it up like the
Yes.
old timey.
You
Yes.
crank it, and then you've got the light, so you don't have to worry about, what happens if you
Let's try to link to that. I didn't even
what?
know something like that
Yeah, I'll
existed.
put a link to one of those on Amazon.
And something
because-
that we don't think of often, but it's just feminine hygiene
Yes.
products. Yes. That
yes,
would
with
be
two
something.
teenage girls in my house. Yes, I
Yeah,
would have to have
yeah.
all of that.
And I'm just going to reiterate again, meds. Make sure that if you take medication, that you take it with you, and also have a first aid kit. That's another one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think that's critical.
Another one is emergency blankets. Those silver reflective blankets.
Oh, yeah.
And
To keep the warmth in.
literally they can wrap up in the size of like those little portable tissue packets that you
right.
get.
Mhm.
That's how small they can be.
Right.
And they're waterproof, and they'll keep you warm.
And
how-
I mean, lots of cooler boxes too. We have several that we use to transport food, but honestly, they're just perfect, because if the power is going out, you don't want to lose all of your food. So it's perfect to put those in. And a lot of times with hurricanes in the past year, the stores are open, but you don't have power. So I know
Yeah.
with Hurricane Ike, we were going to the store to get ice all the time. And so we were able to have some refrigerated items on ice because our power was out for a week.
And
That's-
Nita, here's another
that's
hint,
smart.
another thing about that. If you just keep your gallon milk containers or whatever kind of milk containers you get, fill them with water if you know there's something coming beforehand.
Right.
Put them in the freezer and let them freeze solid. And you can keep them in the freezer or the fridge and keep that door shut. And that will help really.
Oh, that's so smart.
That's a
keep
great
everything
idea. Or
cool
maybe
for a
even
long
the
time.
smaller quart size,
Yeah.
because the gallon, I don't know if that'll fit in my
Well,
freezer.
whatever
but
size,
the smaller
whatever
ones
size you
might,
have,
yeah.
that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
If you're at home, absolutely.
And that would stay that's going to stay frozen longer if it's one
A lot.
block like that.
Mhm,
Right.
exactly.
How about extra contact lenses if you're a contact lens wearer?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, glasses too, but contacts, if you're used to your contacts, maybe just throw a couple in there when you order your prescription and get a couple extra and just chuck them in there.
Good idea.
And these emergencies, I mean, sometimes there's a big buildup to them, and And sometimes you kind of, not that you expect
Sometimes
the
there's no
worst.
warning.
Yeah, we had a windstorm. I mean, who would think like winds? Like really, a few years ago in California, and we were driving back from someplace, and Peter said, "Oh, it's just the freeway. This is the way it is." There were these giant tumbleweeds like below and across, and this doesn't seem right. And then we got into town, and the thing was, there are so many microclimates and whatnot here, or, obviously a tornado, when it spins, it was tornado force winds, and it shut down my little town at that time. Even the surrounding areas were okay. And some of my friends were out of power for well over a week. And nobody, and
it's tough.
You didn't have really much forewarning. It's just like, oh, it's a little wind. So what we're telling you today is so very important, even if you live in a place where you think, oh, we're not inclined to this sort of weather, or we never get this, or who knows when the big earthquake is going to come to California. It may or may not even be in my lifetime, but I want to take the tips that we're giving today and be prepared.
That's the bottom line right there.
I would say make
be
sure
prepared.
Right. I mean, this is something you can have in your house all the time, is just make sure you have at least 5 days or more of food that you can get from your pantry, because let's face it. I mean, there's a lot going on in the world. There's so many disasters that could happen that are not a hurricane. So maybe you're landlocked and you don't have to worry about hurricanes. Something else could happen. So, really have that food. That's going to be something you're going to need every day.
Yes.
So be thinking about how many people are in your family, and, make sure you have that.
There's wonderful companies that sell freeze-dried food.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have a supply of those too.
That's great to have on hand.
Because just keep in mind, what we've got going on here is all of the major highways into Houston are underwater at some point. There's no way for the trucks to come in and refresh the stores.
Well, I've been speaking with or texting with our friend Mark from My Paint Saint, and he's in Houston. He said he mapped you, Anita, and he's about 24 miles from you. And when you were getting not too much rain, when you showed me that picture of your front yard during the day, he was getting this incredible deluge. And then it seems like it came back to you. But he said to me, there are things that are over my head normally that are now underwater. And he's in a 2-story condo complex. So he's looking down on things
part of town he is in?
I don't know the exact
address.
address.
Here's the other point in Houston. The water is up so high. There are certain reservoirs here that they're going to start. They started at 2 a.m. this morning. They started releasing water from these reservoirs.
I heard that on the news.
I heard that.
The tragic news is that there are entire neighborhoods that are going to be affected by the release of that water. They're going to be underwater. And I don't know if you heard the whole news, that those homes are going to be flooded for months. It's just tragic. Well, I mean, what are those people going to be coming home to after there's been water in their homes for a month or more?
Well, it's just devastation, total devastation. Let me just talk about this. Let's talk about if you are in your home. It's good to know where to turn off your things like water, even if it's not a water event, or your gas. Like we have propane gas.
Yes, great idea.
Know where you turn that off, and turn that off in a case of emergency, because a lot of things are, we have tornadoes come through here, and a lot of times that's what, there'll be a gas break from that starts huge fires.
Well, that's an excellent point, which also
smart.
brings up the cooking point. Now we have a gas stove. So when we've had a power outage previously, I was able to get a lighter and still use my stove, but my electric lighter, obviously that was not working. So I had to light it manually, but I was able to continue to cook. But in a previous house, when Hurricane Ike came through, we had an electric stove. So the stove was not usable at all, but we had a propane grill outside. Well, actually it was connected to the gas line. So, I would make sure that you have some way to cook if your power goes out. So if you have a gas cooktop or stove, you're golden. But if not, make sure you have at least a cooktop or something that you can use, a sterno or a grill, because I'm telling you, after Hurricane Ike, that's what we used every day for a week was our gas grill.
Be very careful with that. So you want to have a fire extinguisher also.
Oh, that's a good point.
With you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The other thing,
that's true. You should have those throughout your house
absolutely.
as well.
And on the flip side, you should have matches in a little waterproof container as well.
Yes. Good.
And how about just garbage bags? Like, we don't need to go into the dirty details, but you might want to have some, like a little bag, a little roll of garbage bags, small
and
ones,
toilet paper,
big ones.
You bet.
Well,
toilet
actually,
paper.
on the trash bags, I'm going to say specifically, if it's a hurricane, you want the large yard waste bags, the lawn bags,
contractor grade,
or contractor bags, right? Because, and this is also interesting. You know, we had our wedding anniversary on the 20th of August, and 2 days before our wedding, Hurricane Alicia came through.
Oh,
so we almost didn't get married.
Oh my
Because
goodness.
the church didn't have power. You know, there was no power. It was terrible. I mean, our rehearsal dinner was supposed to be at my in-laws. They weren't able to do that. They had no power. Kevin and I had bought a house, but we hadn't moved in yet. So we actually had a
Oh, and you
rehearsal
had
dinner.
no sofa.
And that's right. We had no sofa. So anyway,
Couldn't have had it there.
Well, we had plenty of room for folding tables and
Right,
chairs in
because
there.
you had no
But
sofa.
we spent the day before our wedding cleaning up all the yard debris in our brand new house.
Oh.
So at my
Well, that'll
wedding,
either bring you together or pull you
Exactly.
apart.
so we needed those bags, and people
Was this
were
a
saying,
sign? I don't know.
I know, and people were saying, "Let me see your hands," and you would think they meant they wanted to see my rings. They were looking at my hands because they were covered with blisters.
Oh, honey.
Because we had been, picking up tree limbs and the debris all day from the
my
hurricane.
goodness.
I mean, we spent all day doing that. So so those bags are really important. Paper towels, any kind of cleanup, you
Toilet
might
paper.
need. I think it's just a good idea because even without a hurricane, I mean, there could be some other natural disaster or something.
Mm-hmm.
And how about a whistle? Because what if you're
Yes.
in some place and you can't, what if all the tips fail and your chargers and you're still there and your chargers don't work and you can just, or you don't know who to call, that just someone to hear you.
Yes.
Have a nice size whistle in your kits
In
as
your
well.
bag. Here's another thing. It's not in the bag, but I had said to Anita, fill your bathtub with water.
Yeah.
Because I
and
know there's a
interestingly
lot
enough-
of water outside, but it's not
Right.
good water to use. So in case things would go south, like we have a well, and we don't have like city water. So anytime there's a big storm, that's what we do. We fill our bathtubs up. So at least we have some kind of fresh water.
Right. And we've had plenty of water with that has not been a problem, but you never know. And I've just
That's
gotten
right.
word that one of the plants, the city plants, because I am in Houston, is underwater. And so somebody on next door, someone said, "Hey, I know someone who knows what's going on, and fill your tub with water." So, that's what we're doing. So, that's the problem is even though we have electricity, there may be a problem at the water plant.
Also, if your electricity goes out, know how to open and close your garage door manually.
Oh, good one. That happened
Yes,
to us.
yes.
My parents were we had a hurricane and it hit the end of Long Island, Eastern Long Island. And we had to figure that out and get the car out.
Well, there's usually a little rope with a
Yep,
toggle
we've used
on the
that
end that
too.
you can pull.
Well, and there's a problem too with people having alarms. Then it's on this emergency battery, and then sometimes those are going, loud and just going off. It's, there's so many electronic things to really keep in mind now.
Pesto pork chops over Parmesan polenta. Not that easy to say, but oh so easy to make with Green Chef. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit company for eating well, and we have such a great deal for you. You're going to save $250. Listen on for the details on that. Green Chef makes eating well easy for any lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat more balanced meals. We're getting into the busy holiday season, so it's a perfect time to have Green Chef help you out. Let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season with their chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes featuring fresh ingredients and nothing artificial. And you know what? You don't have to lose track of your healthy eating habits during the holidays. Every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitians who will walk you through how to make clean eating work for you. So sign up for your free session and start on the road towards better health today. And the deal I want to tell you about, visit greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. So that's greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. Green Chef is a delicious delight any time of year, but especially during the holidays. What a wonderful vision to behold as the Green Chef boxes on your doorstep. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. And it makes eating well so easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat a more balanced diet. So let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season. And if you've got guests coming, shop Green Bundles. They're now available at the Green Market. It's your one-stop shop for nutritious grab-and-go breakfasts, including vegan options, brunch kits, wholesome lunches, ready-to-eat snacks, veggie sides, and more. You can feel your best this December and do your best with Green Chef because they offset 100% of the delivery emissions as well as 100% of the plastic in every box. Go to greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT and get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months.
And another thought might be pets. You know, you might not think, even though you love your pet, when you're putting your kit together, maybe you're not thinking about your pet or
maybe
pet
need
food.
a little pet kit. That's
yeah.
right.
So,
well, now here's an issue with that because with Katrina, that was a real problem. The shelters were not taking pets. So people had to leave. There were all these pets, all these nightmare stories of people leaving their dogs and cats because they couldn't bring them to the shelters and they were just left and abandoned. It was tragic. So now the shelters here in Houston are taking animals. That's the good news. But there's a caveat. You have to have a crate. You have to crate your animals. So if you don't have a crate, see, we don't use a crate for Molly, so we don't even have one. But if you want to go into shelter with your animal, you need the crate. So that's
and there's a
something
lot
to keep
of
in mind.
even big crates that they're portable, that you can fold them down into a small
Well, that's what I'm
pack.
talking about is a portable crate.
well, that's a really good tip because I'm certainly,
That is a good tip.
I would not think of putting in a crate for an
And I'm sure there's people that don't want to leave their pets, their family members who just don't go into shelters because they can't take their pet.
right.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a hard call for me.
There's been a lot of water rescues in boats, and there's been a lot of dogs. I've seen a lot of dogs coming. So I'm glad that they were taking the pets.
And how about cash? I mean, if you do get to get somewhere, I mean, maybe all the credit card machines are down or you can't get money out of the ATM, have a little storehouse of cash in your kit.
Although, to be honest with you, all these stores are everything's so online that I don't know. It seems like if the power's down, then they just won't even take any payment.
Yeah, that may be the case.
It's good to have it. It's still good to have it. And
I think cash is definitely king.
Another thing, if it's maybe not the kind of a disaster you're having right now, Anita, but this fall, we're getting a generator. We are very susceptible to blizzards and big storms, and we've never had a generator in all these years. And we went through Hurricane Sandy. The eye went over us, and we lost power for days, and we didn't have a generator. But you have to be careful when you use anything like an alternate heat source or a generator that you're doing it very carefully.
Well, that's right. It has to be outside because of the risk of carbon monoxide. And somebody that Kevin works with had a generator, but she said, I can't use it because it's in too much water.
Yeah, you got to be very careful how you use that. And speaking of carbon monoxide, make sure that you have carbon monoxide detectors and smoke detectors that maybe are not attached to. We have a security system and we have a generator, but it's not going to. I mean, we have it has a long auxiliary battery life, but that's not going to last for days and days and days and days. So if you get stuck, make sure that you have something that you can either, put up on your wall or something easy that doesn't need any kind of central electricity.
Well, I'm just my heart just goes out to everyone. I mean, Anita is our dear, 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 dear friend, and that what she's going through, and her friends and other people, and our friend Mark, and just anyone that we know in the area, or anybody who's gone through anything like this in the past. And unfortunately, we're all, whether it's global warming, or it's just, things happen in the earth with the weather, and things are going to happen, or an earthquake or something. We're all potentially going to be in some sort of disaster situation, catastrophic weather, or what have you.
I wanted to include a link too.
Yes. So let's let Anita do that right now.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, I wanted to offer some assistance to our friends that are going through this. Like I'd said, our house has been safe through all this, but so many people that are affected by Hurricane Harvey have not been so blessed. So we are definitely going to be donating money for the cause to help people that are affected by the hurricane. And so I wanted to mention two great sources to give money to that will be helping the victims of the hurricane. That is Samaritan's Purse and the Salvation Army. We're going to be including links in the show notes to both of these organizations, but they're obviously very reputable, and they will, and which is always important. You don't want to give it to just any, organization, because some of them are not really reputable, and you don't know what the money's going for. And Anita, these are very well-known organizations.
And you can ear tag the money you donate right to the cause of Hurricane Harvey.
Yes. So please do that. Please donate to help all the people that are affected. And I know we're going to be doing that. And we love everybody. We love our listeners. We love Houston and Texas and so many people that are affected by this. So our hearts are going out to everybody. It's just an emotional roller coaster for me. I know so many people personally that are affected by this, and it's just a crushing day. So
Anita,
thank you.
Not only do our hearts go out to them, we're really praying for them.
Yes. No, we are definitely, I've been calling for prayers on social media, and I've been saying it's working. Please keep doing it. So
take the tips that you got today. Know that all of this information is coming from our hearts, because we want you to be safe. Get your backpack, get your Rubbermaid bin, what have you. Make your kits so you're ready, and maybe you'll never have to use them, and that would be fantastic. And that's what we really pray for you. But just in case, better to be prepared. And next time when we come back with decorating tips and tricks, we'll talk about all the pretties and the lovelies and the vignettes and all of that. But today we thought this was really important to take this opportunity to share with you tips, just like we did for the toolbox episode. And this is so much more important. So just remember, we are here to inspire you to create a safe home as well as a beautiful home. And until next time.
Hey there. If you're loving our podcast like we're loving our podcast, we would love you to rate and review us. Head to iTunes to do that. It's easy, and it would mean so much to us.